Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Strike Trade Group, and this is Thursday, November 17th. We are almost through the week. We've got one more day to go, and then on to Thanksgiving week. So lots of stuff to get to in today's recap. Lots of movers, probably something for everybody in terms of how this market has been going. Some opportunities on the long side, the short side, and some momentum names as well. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only. Please read the full risk disclaimer here. Also, I apologize because I forgot to tweet this out last night, but here is the link, and again, and I will I will tweet this out shortly, but here is the special that we're running just to the end of the week. If you are a new member, I call this a year-end special. You get 25% off your first 2 months, so it basically locks you in, definitely through the end of the year, and through halfway through the new year as well. And it's a great opportunity to kind of see everything that we do behind the scenes other than just these end of day videos. And the end of day videos, I give a summary of things go on, but you don't really have the sense of how the day flows for us, what we do in terms of midday, which I either do a video for members midday, or I do a note that goes out for members, and some of the names that we talked about yesterday worked pretty well too in a tough market. So there you go. That is the special that we're currently running, and we'll only be running that for I think we have it to expire for tomorrow. All right, so where do we want to begin for today? So first of all, market was down when we came in today. There was some volatility, which I thought was going to set up as possibly a decent setup, provided that the market held in. My question of the day, right in the beginning of the day was, with the NASDAQ down, I think over decently like 1.5% or something like that around the open, was were we going to see the buy the dippers come in today? Just to kind of rewind a few days, this market basically, just shot up on the inflation data. A lot of short covering happened in momentum areas of the market. And once that short covering kind of dried up, we kind of lost that upside momentum. But that doesn't mean that the long side didn't want to get involved, and maybe a dip into support would entice them. So that said, let's get into the index charts, and then I will go over the movers. This was pretty straightforward, in terms of this move down. Notice that this version point of control, again, version point of controls, if you're not familiar, where high volume occurred previously that we have not revisited. So often they can be pivots. They could be areas that we go up and we consolidate around. Sometimes they're fades, but it's a pivot area very frequently that can either change the direction or change things a little bit in the market. So notice that you could have, I saw some people doing this towards the end of the day yesterday, thinking that this was some type of head and shoulders with I guess a couple shoulders here. Pretty neat. You had like a further left shoulder, further right shoulder, and then your regular left, right head. And so we broke this, which is the exact same line as the version point of control. Just funny how that happens. But again, volume at price is a very big concept. Supply and demand is very big at this point. So we got down here, and then once we broke this, right, again, people jump to conclusions, I think, saying, oh my God, that's the end of this market. We're going to go all the way right back down. That's not the case, because we have support. And if you look at what I tweeted out earlier today, it's going to be basically, so let's see if I can find this really quickly, because I like to use these things as reference points. But I think it was back a little bit further. I was making a joke. I like to joke around, obviously. So this is what I was talking about, is that we do have some support coming in here, right? So here's your break. And sure enough, like we didn't actually tag this, but we started to see a rebound in here. And what was even more interesting. So again, even though like this is the case, this market is still very whippy. And I'll go through the NASDAQ because I thought the NASDAQ was more interesting today, because again, we had fulfilled some upside targets. Right. So speaking of a virgin point of control, like there's a perfect example of one getting tagged and then there was a fade. Now look at how it sat back. And the question was going to be, okay, once you back test the top of value, which again is significant, and also the 50-day moving average kind of lined up with that, would that hold and would we get a bounce from that? And we certainly did for the day. Right. And again, this is what this looks like. Right. This has its own, dotted line in here that I've drawn for, a head and shoulders pattern. So we broke this, but we really didn't go too far. Right. And I thought that was impressive. Sometimes we see on these days where we start down like this, that we see the first 15 minutes, we see a bounce and then it gets faded, but we were holding in here. And we did this again, retraced and held in there. Right. And then I'm not sure what this 5-minute bar was. I never saw any news on this. There was some political stuff that was for this result of the move. But, then we kind of sat in here a little bit. And then once this 5-minute bar materialized, it was like, oh boy, that's not such a good looking bar. And certainly we came in and retreat. So again, it's like shaking both sides out. It's really, I think, I've talked about this frequently, in some of these videos over the last couple of months, is that this market hasn't been easy for longs or shorts. It hasn't been a layup, right? Because if you were long, okay, depending on where you added in here, you did pretty well. But if you were looking for a home run based off of this in continuation, you didn't get it. And you could have shorted a little bit in here. But then, you didn't get a collapse here either because the market really came back in the last half hour of the day. So again, it makes me chuckle because right now it is very much a scalper's market. If you're really, really good at scalping and not trending markets, then this is really great for you. I'm more of a trend trader. So I've definitely have tried to adapt to the price action this year, but this is not my favorite type of price action to see just trendless. And that's what a lot of days are like. Not always. I mean, in the after hours market, we trended down, but this is more, I mentioned if you were looking for a home run in this market, you just can't look for a lot of home runs, right? If you happen to catch one, a double, a triple here and there, awesome. But it's not easy, I think, to catch a lot of home runs. This is more of a singles and occasionally a double here and there type of market. So I just wanted to illustrate that in the price action, and what we're kind of faced with on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, I would basically watch the support in here, right, which is 11,525. I'll put labels on for you guys so that you can see this. Right, but again, we're following a roadmap. Every day, we're basically following a roadmap. One of the things that I said today too, looking on the daily chart of the S&P, you could see the dotted line that I've got drawn. But I said if we broke the 5-day moving, I said if we couldn't get past this 4,000 level, which we just couldn't get through, a lot of overhead supply, which is also what makes this market challenging, is a lot of times we are stumbling upon this overhead supply that we can't get through. So I said if we break the 5-period moving average, the next thing to be watching was the 20-day, because the value area is not going to help you because it's all the way down here. But we actually held the 5-day moving average in here. So for now, again, very tricky, because if you thought, hey, I'm going to go short, maybe we get a move down here. We actually at the end of the day held the 5-day moving average, and that's an exponential moving average that I'm using for that. All right, so let's talk about some single stocks. Like I said, there's a lot to get through today, so I'll try to speed up, but I'll tell you, I was very impressed with this earnings move with Baba. The Chinese internet names were your best performing group. They moved up 7%. Usually what happens with the China names is they gap up because the majority of the move happens in, depending on what the Hang Seng market is doing, as well as maybe Shanghai. So always when you look at Chinese internet names, they're very gappy looking in nature because the price action is based off the overnight market. But today it was based off an earnings report. So still a very challenging looking chart to me. I think that this could get up to 88.20. Then what? I don't know with Baba. I do like the volume in here, but such a downtrend. The last time all the way back in July, it looked like it had a chance to turn the corner, poked its head above the 200-day moving average and failed. That was all the way up at 120. Now you're looking at a stock that's $84. There are some bright spots in here. My favorite is the PDD, right? I don't even know how. I'm not even gonna try it. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this name. So the levels. So if you think that you missed, I was going over this earlier today. If you think that you missed a big move from 50 to 70, well, you definitely did. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it is a big move from the lows, right? These things have had some major momentum to them. But if you're looking for something longer than a couple day trade, right, then I would really watch the 74 level. This thing has a chance to maybe turn the corner and change the trend on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, it does look like it is. That's 200-day moving average is down here. So that's my favorite in the group. Keep in mind, I think JD reports and the after hours. The next group, this is a group that we talked about. I believe I talked about, sorry, I do a couple of these videos a day, but the solar group. And, this is what I traded today. I think we talked about yesterday, this SHLS, right? I got into this. Someone mentioned this in the trading room yesterday. This was beautiful, up 9%. Where do I think this thing can go? Well, again, we'll use our volume at price indicator, market webs, to tell us that there's a VPOC up here at 32.20. Now, I did take a couple targets today in this because, hey, it's a 9% move, and I'm not going to just ignore a 9% move, but I would be looking to take another big target at 32.20, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Hopefully it kind of just hangs out. But because I really like this name, so that's a shame that you've got the resistance up here, but at least you know where to take a target, right? And then if we can manage to hang in here, then there is another VPOC up there at 38. But again, it's got to stay above 32, provided that it does take that out. First Solar I traded today, and this actually closed right around the highs of the day. I didn't know how this, I took my profits in this one today because, just as going back to what I was saying with the way that this market and the whippiness is, I just decided, hey, I got a couple really nice trades for the day. My strategy kind of really paid off for the day today because I decided to go after and buy the dip a little bit today. And First Solar and the solar group from yesterday, the homework that we did yesterday paid off for today's trading day. And First Solar was one of the first things that I did today. This was at 10 o'clock, and I took targets, I think, all the way up to right around like 164, 165. So really nice. Another name to watch in this group is the ENPH, right? It is very close at this point to breaking out of this pattern. So definitely a one to watch for tomorrow. Because this looks like some type of inverted head and shoulders. Again, I think I'm pretty sure I covered this one in yesterday's video too. So it was up today, 2.5%, not as much as momentum in the other names. I started off the day taking some profits in coin, right? Again, using see the theme that we used at Tribeca Trade Group, right? We use the indicator. We use this as a roadmap, right? I talked about a short trade in this. Once it broke into value, I actually put this trade on yesterday pre-market at $54, and I was able to get this thing to go all the way through. And that's the 80% rule that we talk about. Once a name breaks into value, it has an 80% chance to go all the way through. I mean, to a T, this thing caught it. I think I didn't mess around with trying to catch the absolute low. I took this thing off for 75, about 30 cents away from that bottom of value. and shorted that at 54. So that was a nice trade for me. Also on the short side, if you're looking for short trades, this Amazon, again, like the part of the strategy that I use is I like to go long strong names and I like to short weaker names. We know Amazon did not have a good earnings report. So is provided that it stays below 96.39, it's hanging on to this. So again, it's nice to have this is why I use the moving averages. This is a 200 period moving average. So it's kind of hanging on to this a little bit, but if it breaks this, you could see a nice pushback to retrace a lot of that move from last week. Again, I like to short names in downtrends, short names that had bad earnings once they bounce a little bit, and Amazon would be on the list. And again, it's nice to kind of balance your book out a little bit with one, a short here or there. All right. So that's another area. The third area. So I talked about solar, the Chinese internet names. Another area is the semiconductors, right? They acted really well today. I'm trying to even remember what the catalyst was for the for these names today, but I can't even remember what the catalyst. Why I know Nvidia reported, so they were up a little bit, but the group was just super strong. AEHR, I just started a position yesterday. Unfortunately, I missed the dip in this morning because I had said when I started this position yesterday, I said, I will scale in and further weakness. I just didn't catch it this morning. It just was too quick because this name did go a little bit lower. I guess it didn't give you that much of a chance, but I decided to take this one off. Again, maybe I'm being a little bit too cute here, but 23.67, I bought this yesterday at the end of the day for 22. If it happens to come in a little bit, I'll be a buyer again, right? I want to just continue to buy dips in this thing. So even like I'm looking for maybe like again, I'm being really cute here, but I'm looking for maybe like an inside day tomorrow, and then I can maybe put a little bit of a position back on. All right. And I threw in the towel on a couple names, right? I was having a good day today. So I wanted to trade this monster. But this is not a market to be accumulating positions. It'll be there for me tomorrow, right? I decided to do this about a half hour before the day finished up because it did not stay above the value area. So again, this really keeps me disciplined. So I'll be looking at this again if it breaks 99. It's very close. Perhaps I could have kept the position on. McDonald's, I also took off. It's actually stayed in value here. Again, I'm just trying to be a little bit conservative here. This was a strong earnings name, had nice follow through. I try to catch it back on the 20-day moving average. I just think that there'll be some other opportunities. I was only basically looking for about a $5 move in this stock anyway. So, again, I'm just trying to keep my trading book pretty darn lean. This was a great trade. Pat Harris actually mentioned this. He said, hey, GM has their analyst day today. So I actually took this thing off for probably a little bit cheaper than I needed to. I think the calls traded all the way up to 88 cents for my entry 38. But hey, for lotto trades like this, I'm good with taking this off for what I do, 60 cents. All right, we talked about SHLS. I think I have a couple other names written down. T-Mobile was a nice trade too. Again, nice looking candle, caught this. Again, what attracts me to this name? Gap up. Basically, the gap was almost filled a couple days ago. So dip on a name that had strong earnings. And these names, they usually come back, right? So this worked pretty well. Again, one of those things where I just decided to take the trade off today. Happy to kind of take profits with that one. Two other names, going back to the software space. MRVL looks interesting here, right? We've seen some call buying, nice bullish engulfing candle today. Again, it stopped right at the VPOC, right at that supply level, and but came back in and tested 41.39. I actually got long. One other trade that I did keep on was Taiwan Semi. Right, I like being in the same trade as Mr. Buffett. Obviously, this thing jumped pretty decently on that announcement that they took a stake in it. But I like the fact that it kind of pushed back in here, and I'm basically just looking for like about a $5 move here up to this virgin point of control up to 86. Last one, and this was a member who brought this chart up to me, but I didn't even cover Cisco, by the way, but Cisco had quietly, again, tough because it's right up to the 200-day moving average, but Cisco finished up 5%. It's a nice move for that stock, right? If you look at some of the names that's also kind of pin action, Arista Networks still looks interesting here, and JBill. This is JBL. Take a look at this chart, right? So again, paused at the virgin point of control, but what's really interesting is when you look at the weekly chart. So if you're looking for something maybe a little bit slower moving, because this name, it just doesn't move as fast as some of the other momentum names, but it's nice to have some slower names. But how nice is that looking? Is that chart, right? You've got a left shoulder, you've got a head right at the bottom of value where it should have found support. It on the first attempt, ran right up into the top of value resistance, came back and checked back, formed that right shoulder, and now above value. Maybe we'll continue with this trend, this nice trend from 2021 and yeah, going into the beginning of this year. All right, so that's it for today's video, guys. Have a great night. One more day of the week. Let's finish strong.